Like, I know you had friends, like maybe even who had phones before you got yours, who had smartphones before you got yours. What are some of the things that now that you're grown up, that you're almost an adult, what are the things looking back that you would say were things that maybe may have had some harmful effects? Let me put it that way. But this thing of now kids coming up and saying, like, I'm a boy, but I feel like a girl, or I'm a girl and I feel like a boy. This thing is fairly new, like whether it was hidden back in the day or not, but it's becoming more common.
To us. It is.
It's becoming more common, and part of the reason why it's becoming more common is because of, like once those algorithms start knowing about the child, then they start feeding certain content that now start encouraging the child to take certain positions. Because think about it, and I know here, like some people may come and say, oh, like you're backward and everything, but how does, like an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old decide? Yes, there are those kids, there's that small percentage of people who are born with like with that gender, whatever it's called,
Gender
with both genders. They're the genuine ones, but then there are those ones who go based on vibes and feelings. Like, I'm a girl, but I feel like a boy. So what's happening is that some of these devices they're using, so there's already some information they know, and then now they start feeding. And if you're constantly engaging with your phone, you start, because even as grown-ups, we get affected by these things.
Oh, we do.
We do. Even as grown-ups. Yeah. So imagine if you as a grown-up are getting affected by these things that are coming on your phone constantly. Think about what these things are doing to a child.
Sembuse 8-year-old or 9-year-old.
Yes, absolutely. Think about what they're doing to a child.
And I think, sometimes how we say, like, we need to, what's the term? Disconnect. Detox.
Yeah.
Or disconnect, detox, or whatever. Dislodge, or whatever it is. Like, I want to unplug. I think that's the word. To unplug. So you find a guy has shut down, simu amezima, whatever, laptop, nothing. He just goes somewhere and just chills.
Yeah.
Right? We can do that as an adult.
Yeah.
But an 8, 9, 10, 11, even teens, because the teens are the worst. But 8, 9, 10, there's no way, because if constantly they wake up, ni
simu, yeah.
Because remember, we as adults, we probably are doing it, but like now, but for us, probably it's a necessity because it is work, right? If you're always, you have your business or whatever, if you're working or whatever, if you're a reporter, if you're a journalist, like whatever it is, breaking news or whatever, uko hapo. So there's one aspect of job related. It's related to your job that you have to be you have to be in communication, because if it's a business, if you're a decision maker, if it's finance, if it's accounting, money, whatever. But a kid, what exactly is the motivation to be on that phone?
But you see, a kid does not, you have the joy, the joy of being disconnected, because at some point in your life, you were disconnected for so many years before you got into this web. So this child, they don't know a world where there's disconnection. To them, Wi-Fi is like water. Without water, you're gonna die. So Wi-Fi ni kama maji,
yes.
Like
I get it.
Yeah, like the first thing, like that you go to someone's place, the first thing unauliza hata usalimie watu.
What is your Wi-Fi?
Yeah, the first thing unauliza ni Wi-Fi.
What is your Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
right.
That's the first thing unauliza.
Yes.
And I think these kids, they don't know a life outside. They don't know a life outside being connected. Then you have also this other generation. Social media is also fairly recent, but then now you have the first generation coming up that came up with social media from when they were kids. They don't know about life without social media.
I'm curious. Would the future sports journalist want to say something? I am just curious.
I know he's been keenly, like
If he has
sitting
been
and
keenly,
listening to us.
if he has been keenly watching,
Yeah.
I would be curious.
being quiet.
Like when he got his first cell phone,
Welcome him to the stage. Welcome him to the stage.
Wacha akuje.
Come and sit over here.
He'll
No, come
introduce
sit
himself.
right here.
No,
Come sit
over
right here. Yeah.
It's only
We have a special guest in the studio.
He'll introduce himself,
Eh?
Name, birth, social security, bank account number, and all that, and pin.
And then he'll say how old he is, or he's gonna, or he'll tell us, or he'll tell us that he was 10 years old when.
No, he hasn't gotten to that age of where he stopped saying how old he is. Right now, he'll proudly tell us how old he is.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Okay, go ahead. Start by your name.
My name is Naiman. Naiman Rujawanziba. My dad was earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think about this conversation that's going on here? First of all, tell the audience your age, and then tell us maybe from what we've been saying, what we're missing out from your perspective in your generation.
Well, I'm a teenager. I'm 17. So mainly this discussion has been on, preteens.
Just
You see the way he
He told you.
dodged and something.
No, he told you. He told you it's preteens. I told you, but you are over there.
so you gotta come
No,
correct.
we said twins.
No,
preteens.
you said
Yeah,
twins. What
preteens.
did he call it?
Twins
He said
is
preteens.
preteens, yeah.
Preteen,
No, I
twins,
said-
yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whatever, man.
All right. Just saying.
So when did you get your first cell phone?
My
Smartphone.
First
Let me say.
Smartphone.
So
Yeah.
my first smartphone was kind of like a hand-me-down. It was like the Samsung S3 back in middle school, like
Oh,
6th grade.
okay.
But my first iPhone, like that's the real phone that everyone has. these days.
Dude, what you talking about? Did you just hate on Samsungs?
So basically, at this point, you're telling your dad that he didn't cut it with the S3.
The S3 didn't come.
I'm just trying to help you because you're 17
and it
you
was
have to
it
go
was
back
a
in the same
it
car.
was a hand me down. It was a hand me
He
down.
said hand me down S3. He didn't get a real phone until he got the iPhone.
The real hand-me-downs we got were clothes.
No, let him talk. Let him talk.
Because that phone, because I remember at the time, both my parents had their iPhone and they had the Samsung S3. So both phones, like it was my dad who gave his S3 to me, and then my mom who gave her S3 to my brother.
Okay.
So yeah.
How old were you when you were getting this phone for the first time?
About 12 years.
Okay,
So
all right.
sixth grade.
Okay.
Twins.
Okay,
Twins.
12.
Okay, huh?
Okay, so middle school. Yeah.
And it wasn't that good. It was
What were the rules behind it?
the rules. I remember we had to turn it in at night because it was like it's during the school week and then
Oh,
during the weekends.
good
we
parents, good parents,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So turning in, but like, what access? Let me tread carefully before the father throws.
So
what access, like apps? Like what could you do with the phone?
S3 had everything. Is there something
No,
else?
yeah, but you can, but you
Okay.
can proof it, chat lock it, you can
Okay.
create a guest
I
account
don't,
on it or
I
whatever.
don't think those were the restrictions, but anyway.
But let us hear. But that can cover his ears.
Well, I was allowed to get apps and things like that, but I remember like on Instagram, family members, like my mom had Instagram and things like that, and she followed me and things. So like just to make sure.
At what age did you get Instagram?
I had Instagram.
At 12?
At 12, you had Instagram.
At 12, I had Instagram. Yeah.
So when did you actually first get Instagram?
Well, because I had that account, but my parents monitoring and things like that.
So then they handed it, kind of transitioned you into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, and I think why you're seeing some shock is because a lot of this social media came when we were grown-ups.
Right.
It wasn't there before social media.
Right.
I want to say it started becoming popular around 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
That's when social media became a thing. Before that, there was
Because
email.
Instagram is very recent.
Instagram is more recent. Yeah.
Yes.
No, Instagram is more recent than
You
Facebook.
remember when Gmail was by invite only?
Recent and popular are two different things.
No,
Yeah.
recent. I forget popular. Recent.
No, but it was more recent than Facebook. Facebook came before Instagram.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Facebook
Yes.
came before Instagram.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, and then that's when all these the Snapchats and everything else
But
started.
before
following.
Facebook, we had MySpace, High Five.
Yeah.
No, he would not remember.
No,
that.
I'm educating him on the
Yeah.
apps that came before.
Right.
So Instagram at 12. Okay, but I think some of those apps you could get you could get for a child, but it was tied to an adult account.
Yeah.
So that the child, there are certain things you could view, could not see. I don't know.
Yeah. But what are some of those things that, like, I know you had friends, like maybe even who had phones before you got yours, who had smartphones before you got yours. What are some of the things that now that you're grown up, that you're almost an adult, what are the things looking back that you would say were things that maybe may have had some harmful effects, like with getting, like cell phones very early on back then?
Well, I'd say I remember earlier, I don't remember who exactly discussing this, but about like gender and, they
Yes.
feel like they can make that decision because of what they're exposed to. They feel like they can, make the decision on, who they are, like how they feel if they're, gay, and things like that. So I feel like that's the effect because, a young child, they usually they look up to their parents, to their, their guardian. So they don't, have, even a teenager, like even me myself, like I don't, fully, like I'm not, my own person. And that's the point of, growing up.
Okay.
To, learn yourself, find interest and, become, who you are and who you want to be.
So do you feel like maybe that early interactions with cell phones and smartphones may have had an impression on now what we're seeing today that's very common with your generation and people who are younger?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And even with, my phones, like the S3s that we got at first, and it wasn't, we got real iPhones. And I remember with my brother, because with iPhones, how they work, before someone turns like 14, they are under like, or it's before 13.
Yeah.
But my brother at the time was 12, turning 13, 7th grade.
Yeah.
So like with him, he couldn't, like downloading apps and things like that. It was under my father. And
he had to seek permission,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
So dad gets the message and then
Yeah.
approves it before
Exactly,
he
yeah.
downloads.
And
Okay.
iPhones, Apple is very good with those parental controls. Like
A
Android.
lot of the tablets are also,
Yeah.
also if you use
Android's
the
a bit
tablets,
of a
also
Wild
very,
West.
Very good with them.
Android's a bit of a Wild
But
West.
iPhones,
iPhones are very good with the parental controls.
yes.
And they're also very good when it comes to limiting, like advertising and stuff like that. They still penetrate through, but they're more controlled than they are on Android. Android is a bit of a Wild West.